take away all these things. You can say, now why? Well, they're going to go all the way over there and take away their social programs and increase the disparity between the very rich and the very poor. Why would they want to be doing that? Well, they're doing it here. That's exactly the program that they're doing here, which is to eliminate the social wage, eliminate all kinds of public programs, increase the privileges of the rich, to cut their taxes, increase our tax burden, and so on. So that's what you see. The problem with Yugoslavia isn't that it was a failed nation. The problem with Yugoslavia for the imperialists, for those whose goal is to propagate the most retrograde form of capitalism all over the world, the problem is that Yugoslavia is success, and that's what they can't bear. They have to attack successes, what they can't forgive. It's just like at home. What they can't forgive about Social Security is that it's a successful program. It's self-financing. It's not in debt. It's not part of the debt. It produces a surplus every year. It's the best anti-poverty program we have. That's why they can't stand it. It's non-profit. Nobody makes a profit. There's no insurance company or corporation that's skimming off the cream with Social Security. It's a socialist program. That's what it is. It is financed by the government, non-profit, for the well-being of the people. And you can take the society as a whole, and it's the same thing. Any country that tries to use its own land, labor, natural resources, capital, and markets for the development of its own people, that country is deemed an enemy or a potential enemy. Whether the country is autocratic or theocratic or democratic in its political forms, that's immaterial. They will kill the autocrat if he is a reformist and he's getting out from under the empire. And they will love and embrace the autocrat if he in fact is with them as a satellite force, oppressing his people and making his country that much more available for multinational corporate capitalism and finance capital to move in and take over and expropriate the country's resources, labor. It's not just resources, not just, oh, there's oil there or something. That may not be it. It could be water. It could just be that this country is a problem because it's a success and it has to be destroyed. So you have to look at it the way the capitalists do. Norway is not a successful program for capitalism. It's a capitalist country, it's true, but it's got a large public sector. It's a social democracy. People live pretty decently and well. Your margin of profit, the expropriation of surplus value in Norway is relatively low. You want to know a real capitalist success? Indonesia. Now, Indonesia is a capitalist dream. The investment level is so high. You expropriate so much more. You pay, instead of paying people $25 an hour, as you might have to do in Norway, you pay them 15 cents an hour. You do outsourcing. You send them things that, you send them all the resources and such that you, instead of, for instance, instead of hiring people in Ohio and paying them $25 an hour plus benefits, you outsource. You take all these resources, bring them over to some place like Indonesia or one of these other countries, and there you can work them, and your profit of margin is maybe 7-8 times higher because the labor is so cheap. So that's what it's all about. It is to accumulate the labor markets, the consumer markets, the consumer mentality, the natural resources, the exports, imports, and capital of just about every country that you can. That was the problem with Libya. It wasn't that Libya had a dictator. Egypt had a dictator for 40 years, Mubarak, and the U.S. was kissy-kissy loving him. because he was the kind of dictator that was the kind that the U.S. State Department and the CIA and the Pentagon and NATO likes. That is, his job was to keep the people in line, to keep Egypt as a third world country, where the IMF comes in, where the big corporations come in. Gaddafi wouldn't let the IMF in. Gaddafi wouldn't give those oil reserves back to the private oil companies. He was doing all sorts of things. He was out of line. He was one of those renegade leaders who was trying to get out from under this global capitalist system. And that was the problem with Yugoslavia, too. So this war, which many of us would say is madness or it's a disaster, it's not madness. It's very rational and very successful war. If you understand what their real interests are and what their real goals are, then you understand that they are doing things that are quite what they want to do. They are as smart as we are. They're just evil, though. They just have a class loyalty that's different. They serve the 1%, and some of us want to serve the 99%. So that's what it is.